Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, and a quick note before we jump in. Today's source material comes directly from a SpeakDuo lesson.
Right, which is an awesome resource.
It really is. You can actually go to SpeakDuo.com to meet new people from around the world who are, practicing English on video calls to become more confident with their speaking abilities.
Highly recommend checking that out.
Definitely. So today, this deep dive is specifically designed for advanced English learners to master nuanced, professional, and conversational phrases. That's our mission today. We're just going to dive right in.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, so, imagine this scenario. You've just accidentally deleted, a massive client's entire database.
Oh, wow. Complete nightmare.
Right. Total disaster. It is entirely your doing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk to your boss, do you apologize? Do you make amends? Or do you have to atone?
That is a terrifying scenario for anyone, but the specific words you choose to describe how you handle it, well, they reveal so much about your psychology.
Right. And, your professional maturity. We are looking at the subtle differences today between words you might already know and the highly specific advanced idioms native speakers use when the stakes are really high.
Starting with how we navigate our own failures, I assume.
Exactly. Because when things go wrong in a professional setting, the language we use instantly shifts. Let's look at the concept of being at fault.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to me, this feels incredibly similar to just saying, I'm to blame. Are we just, splitting hairs here, or is there a functional difference?
There's a functional and actually a deeply psychological difference. Think about the physical action associated with the word. To blame often implies active finger-pointing.
Oh, like it's highly accusatory.
Exactly. If I say you are to blame, I am aggressively directing a spotlight of guilt onto you from the outside. But being at fault, it describes a state of responsibility.
Okay, so it's more internal.
Yeah, it's very often something you realize internally, almost after the fact. I see the mechanism there. So it's less about a witch hunt and more about the objective reality of the error.
Right.
It's the difference between a boss screaming at you in a meeting versus, you sitting quietly at your desk, rereading an email chain from yesterday, and it suddenly hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yes, that exact feeling.
You missed a crucial instruction. And you realize, entirely on your own, that you were at fault for the workplace misunderstanding.
Precisely. You are taking ownership. It's an acknowledgement of causality rather than just, accepting guilt from someone else.
That makes total sense.
And once you reach that internal realization that you are at fault, well, the natural next step is fixing it. Which brings up an interesting distinction between just apologizing and actually deciding to make amends.
Okay, let me guess the underlying logic here. To me, making amends sounds like there is, physical momentum involved.
Yes, exactly.
You aren't just sending an email saying, sorry, you're doing something tangible about it.
You hit the nail on the head. An apology is just words. It's a necessary social convention, sure, but making amends is about physical compensation.
Taking action.
Right. You are actively putting in the work to balance the scales. Let's say you make a careless, highly insensitive remark in a meeting that deeply hurts a colleague's feelings.
Yeah, just slacking them and I'm sorry probably isn't going to cut it if you want to genuinely repair that working relationship.
No, the trust is damaged.
Right.
So you send a sincere apology, but to truly make amends, you take action. You might walk over to their desk and offer to take over their next 2 quarterly reports.
Wow, okay. So you are sacrificing your own time and energy to restore the harmony you disrupted.
Exactly.
I like that framing. You're balancing the scales. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if the mistake is significantly bigger than a careless remark?
Yeah.
We also have the phrase atone for. Now, isn't this the exact same thing as making amends?
The mechanism is similar, taking action to repair damage. But what's fascinating here is the sheer weight of the word.
The weight of it.
Right. You make amends for a minor slight or a careless remark, but you atone for something severe. It carries an almost historical or moral gravity.
Okay, so it implies that a core covenant of trust has been broken, not just a surface-level mistake.
Exactly.
So if I accidentally knock over your coffee,
Yeah.
I make amends by running to the cafe and buying you a new one.
Sure.
But let's go back to my opening scenario.
Yeah.
Let's say my oversight caused a severe financial loss for our company. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars lost because I missed a zero on a contract.
Well, massive error.
Yeah. To atone for that level of damage, I can't just buy my boss a latte. I might have to volunteer to work without compensation through the entire weekend, completely rebuilding the department's workflow from scratch.
Exactly. The stakes dictate the vocabulary. And if you refuse to atone for a massive failure, you trigger the final phase of the cycle, which is having to pay the price.
Pay the price, which honestly sounds a lot like being punished.
It does sound like it.
But if I'm tracking the nuance here, a punishment needs a punisher. Right. Like an active authority figure, a boss, a parent, or a judge handing down a sentence.
You've got it perfectly. Paying the price doesn't require an authority figure at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's about the inevitable karma or the natural consequence of an action. It's pure cause and effect. It's the universe balancing itself out over time.
Okay, so like a massive enterprise company that continually ignores routine cybersecurity warnings.
Your picked example.
They skip their software updates for over a year because the executives don't want the network downtime. Nobody is actively punishing them on a random Tuesday in March.
But they're accumulating invisible risk, and eventually a ransomware attack strikes, their systems are locked, and they lose millions.
Right.
They have to pay the price for their negligence. It's just the bill finally coming due.
Wow, okay. So we've seen how internal mistakes play out. But often the chaos isn't your fault at all, it's external.
Oh, definitely.
The workplace gets turbulent, and you have to navigate the storm. When panic sets in, a team really needs a steadying influence. Now, my first instinct is to ask, does this just mean being a good, strong leader?
Well, it is much more specific than that. Think about it. A good leader might be loud, dynamic, visionary, and totally disruptive.
That's true. A visionary leader often creates chaos to drive innovation.
Exactly. But a steadying influence has a highly specialized function. They specifically inject calm into panic.
So instead of being the engine of a ship pushing it forward, they are like the gyroscope inside the ship's hull.
Oh, I like that.
Like the water is tossing the boat around, everyone is getting seasick, but the gyroscope is just humming quietly, keeping the whole structure upright.
That is a brilliant analogy. Imagine a chaotic merger negotiation. Two huge companies are combining. The executives in the room are panicked about losing their jobs, their equity, their status.
I can picture it. The room is hot, people are shouting over each other, total chaos.
Right. But in that room, you have a veteran negotiator. They aren't shouting. They aren't hyping people up with visionary speeches. They act as a steadying influence, keeping everyone's emotions in check and methodically focusing all parties on a practical compromise.
They bring the temperature in the room down.
Exactly.
That's a powerful role to play. But, even if you have that steadying influence bringing the temperature down, the actual work still has to get done. The team has to go into survival mode and pull together.
Yes, pull together.
Now, we all use the word collaborate constantly in business English. Is pulling together just the advanced version of collaborating?
Not exactly. Collaboration is your baseline everyday teamwork. You collaborate on a Tuesday afternoon on a shared spreadsheet. Pulling together implies a shared threat or an immense amount of external pressure.
So it's situational.
Yeah, it implies that if you don't unite right now, you will fail.
Oh, so if someone is taking their IELTS speaking test, part 2, and they get asked to describe a time they worked in a team, saying, "We collaborated on a project," is grammatically fine, but it's a bit dry.
Very dry.
But if they describe a chaotic, incredibly busy event, like a massive understaffed rush at a restaurant on Valentine's Day, and they say the small team pulled together by instantly dividing tasks, covering each other's blind spots and supporting each other all night just to survive.
Yes, that paints a much more vivid, dramatic picture. It completely changes the tone of the story. It shows resilience under fire.
And when you are in that survival mode, sometimes you have to move heaven and earth to succeed.
That's a great phrase.
See, I love this phrase. It sounds almost mythological, like a superhero phrase. But how does it differ from just going the extra mile? Because going the extra mile is what every single customer service rep is trained to do.
Right, and going the extra mile is polite, it's helpful. But moving heaven and earth implies desperation and extreme barrier-breaking effort. It means you are willing to completely disrupt the normal order of operations because failure is absolutely not an option.
So the sheer scale of effort is different. Let's say an operations director knows an upcoming product launch is critical for the company's survival.
Okay.
They don't just go the extra mile by working an hour late. They promise to move heaven and earth to get the shipment delivered on time.
Exactly. They are calling in personal favors, chartering private cargo planes, completely ignoring the budget, whatever it takes.
Wow, they are manipulating the universe to make it happen.
They really are. And the ultimate goal of all that effort is often to solve the massive problem at a stroke.
Meaning accomplished by a single, sudden action immediately. But why does using "at a stroke" command more respect in a boardroom than just saying, like, "I fixed it quickly"?
Because quickly just means it took a short amount of time. You still could have been sweating and struggling the whole time.
That's true.
At a stroke implies instantaneous, total transformation. It's usually driven by surgical precision and mastery.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure, think of a software engineer dealing with a tedious data verification process. Instead of chipping away at it manually, they write a single, elegant automation script,
Okay.
one hit of the enter key, and they eliminate 3 hours of manual labor at a stroke.
It sounds like magic. It's just the snap of the fingers.
Exactly.
But let's be real for a second. Not everyone responds to pressure by pulling together or writing elegant code.
Unfortunately not.
Sometimes, the pressure cooker of a workplace brings out incredibly toxic behaviors. People act out. So let's look at what happens when someone flagrantly defies a rule.
This is a big one.
The key word here for me is flagrant. Breaking a rule can be an innocent accident, right?
Absolutely. You might break a dress code because you didn't read the employee handbook carefully. That's just a mistake. But flagrantly defying a rule is intentional, open, and shamelessly disrespectful.
Oh, wow.
You are looking at the rule book, establishing eye contact with your boss, and throwing it in the trash.
It's the sheer arrogance that makes it flagrant. Like, say, a construction team that is fully aware of a new safety protocol involving safety harnesses,
Good example.
but they decide it's too time-consuming.
Hmm.
So they openly refuse to wear them right in front of the site manager. They flagrantly defied the safety protocol and faced immediate disciplinary action.
Right. The defiance is a deliberate statement. And paradoxically, the environments that breed those flagrant rule breakers also tend to breed the person who loves to play the moralist.
Oh, man. We all know this person.
We really do. To play the moralist means to pretend to be ethical or to lecture others hypocritically.
Hypocritically being the key word there.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture of office psychology, this is almost always about the projection of superiority. They are using morality as a weapon for office politics.
It's the manager who would often play the moralist at all-hands meetings, right?
Okay.
Giving these long, preachy speeches about accountability and transparency while completely hiding his own budget overruns and making the exact same mistakes.
Exactly. It's infuriating to watch.
It really is. And when you are surrounded by that kind of toxicity, the defiance, the hypocrisy, you just want to sweep away the negativity.
You do?
Now, why use sweep away instead of just saying delete or remove?
Well, because delete is digital and surgical. Sweeping away implies a broad, physical, forceful action. It's comprehensive.
Ah, I see.
For example, if a massive new software update comes out, it doesn't just fix a few things. It will sweep away several old bugs that slowed the app down. It clears the board completely with one broad, sweeping motion.
But, you know, if you can't sweep away the external problems, like that hypocritical manager, you have to protect your internal peace. You have to blot out the stress.
Yes. This is one of the most visual idioms we have in this set. What does it bring to mind for you?
It literally makes me think of taking a bottle of dark black ink and purposely spilling it all over a bad memory. Or like a massive distraction, so you physically cannot see it anymore.
Yeah.
You are obscuring it completely.
Yes, it's an active, purposeful hiding of something unpleasant. So going back to our IELTS Part 2 example, if the examiner asks how you manage stress, you wouldn't just say, I ignore it.
Right, that's too simple.
You might say you put on noise-canceling headphones and listen to heavy metal to blot out the chaotic background noise of the office.
Yeah.
Or that you go for a long, grueling run to blot out the memory of a highly stressful day.
You are actively pouring ink over the stress.
Exactly.
That's such a powerful way to frame it. Okay, for our final section before we test the listeners, let's look at personal dynamics.
Sounds good.
How we describe ourselves and our relationships to our environment. We have the phrase, new to the game. This means highly inexperienced or unfamiliar. But wait, doesn't that just mean you're an amateur?
Not necessarily, and this is a crucial nuance. You might be a highly experienced, deeply respected professional in life, but just inexperienced in this specific situation. The game refers only to the current context.
Oh, that makes total sense. Like imagine a veteran teacher who has been running a masterful physical classroom for 30 years.
Right, definitely not an amateur.
They are not an amateur educator. But suddenly, the school shifts to 100% online learning. They are completely new to the game at remote teaching, and they are struggling to find their rhythm with the software.
Exactly. It respects their overall expertise while acknowledging their contextual inexperience.
That's a great distinction.
Now, when that teacher logs into a training seminar and meets another veteran teacher who is struggling with the exact same technology in the exact same way, they might realize they are two of a kind.
Meaning being extremely similar in character or attitude.
Hmm?
But this is deeper than just having things in common, right? I mean, I have drinking coffee in common with millions of people.
Right. Having a hobby in common doesn't make you two of a kind. The phrase implies a deeper, almost identical worldview or personality alignment.
Like a profound matching of spirits.
Exactly. Think of two new colleagues who meet on their first day. They quickly realize they share an identical, incredibly dry, sarcastic sense of humor, and they both have this hyper-niche, mutual passion for mid-century modern architecture.
Oh, wow, yeah.
They aren't just similar, they are truly two of a kind,
They vibrate on the exact same frequency.
which is a great feeling.
It really is.
What is not a great feeling is our final phrase. A life sentence.
Oof.
Obviously, this is a serious legal term, but metaphorically, it describes a highly restrictive situation one must endure forever. So what does this all mean for our daily routines?
Well, we use this dramatic, heavy phrase to describe the mundane things that trav us. It's the psychology of feeling utterly stuck without parole.
Oh, like a 2-hour drive in gridlock traffic every single morning. You might say, that draining commute felt like a life sentence until I finally changed jobs.
Perfect.
You felt like you were never, ever going to escape the confines of that car.
A perfect metaphorical use of a very serious term.
All right, you've listened to the nuances, you've heard the examples, and now it is time to test your active recall with this superbly said quiz.
Here we go. Here's how this works. I'm going to read a question with 3 options, A, B, and C. I will give you a brief moment to think. We strictly enforce the honor system here, folks, so actually commit to an answer before our expert reveals it. Ready? Let's go. Question 1. Which sentence uses the idiomatic phrase steadying influence correctly based on context? Option A. The professional construction site structural engineering foundation stabilization contractor was instructed to check the steadying influence during the soil test.
That is quite the job title.
Option B. The deeply frustrated young retail clerk aggressively managed to completely drop a white line. Or option C. During the chaotic merger negotiations, the veteran negotiator acted as a steadying influence, keeping all parties focused on practical compromise. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option C, steadying influence. Unless you are hiring the most long-winded contractor in the world from option A, the correct choice is C. As we discussed with the merger negotiation example, this describes a person acting as a gyroscope, bringing calm to a panicked environment.
Exactly. All right, question 2. Select the context where the phrase make amends is most appropriately used figuratively. Option A. Realizing that his careless remark had deeply hurt his colleagues' feelings, he sent a sincere apology and offered to take over the next 2 reports to make amends. Option B. The professional legal courtroom constitutional amendment drafting clerk was instructed to make amends during the bill revision. Option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly buy some large systems. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option A, make amends.
Yeah.
Option B is a hilarious attempt to confuse the literal legal amendment of a document with the behavioral phrase.
I know, right?
Remember, making amends is about taking tangible action to balance the scales for a past wrongdoing, like offering to take over those reports.
Question 3. In which situation does someone accurately utilize the advanced phrase at a stroke contextually? Option A. The professional swimming pool aquatic sports athletic coach was instructed to check at a stroke during the butterfly lap practice. Option B. By automating the monthly data verification process with a single script, the engineer eliminated 3 hours of manual labor at a stroke. Option C. The completely terrified young wilderness traveler unexpectedly noticed an exceptionally massive heavy tool chest. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct choice is option B, at a stroke. It has nothing to do with swimming laps, as option A suggests. We use the IT and automation example to show that this means accomplishing something completely and immediately with surgical precision.
Moving right along. Question 4. Which response best demonstrates the advanced phrase, move heaven and earth figuratively? Option A. Knowing how critical the product launch was for the company's survival, the operations director promised to move heaven and earth to get the shipment delivered. Option B. The professional astronomy space telescope planetary research scientist was instructed to move heaven and earth during the celestial mapping study. Option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly catch that white balance. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
That would be option A, move heaven and earth. Despite option B's literal interpretation of moving planets in space, this phrase highlights desperation and extreme, barrier-breaking effort to achieve a result, just like our critical product launch example.
Question 5. How would a professional accurately use the phrase atone for contextually? Option A. The professional musical composition guitar tuning technician was instructed to atone for the pitch during the acoustic calibration. Option B. The completely confused amateur theater group unexpectedly decided to proudly paint a clean frame. Option C. Seeking to atone for the severe financial loss caused by his oversight, he volunteered to work without compensation through the weekend. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option C, atone for. Option A is a terrible, terrible pun on tuning a musical tone.
It really is.
Think back to the severe financial loss scenario. Atoning is about making reparations for a grave mistake with heavy moral gravity.
Almost done. Question 6. Which scenario perfectly illustrates the meaning of the phrase two of a kind contextually? Option A. The professional poker card casino gaming dealer was instructed to check two of a kind during the table dealing session. Option B. Sharing an identical dry sense of humor and a mutual passion for mid-century modern architecture, the two new colleagues were truly two of a kind. Option C. The incredibly clumsy hotel maintenance worker accidentally managed to completely drop that red tray. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Option B is correct, two of a kind. While option A references a literal hand in a game of poker, our example of the colleagues' loving mid-century architecture shows that this describes two people who share a profound alignment in worldview.
And the final test, question 7. Which sentence accurately utilizes the advanced phrase, pay the price, contextually? Option A. Having ignored routine cybersecurity warnings and skipped software updates for over a year, the enterprise finally had to pay the price when ransomware struck. Option B. The professional retail store cashier checkout pricing clerk was instructed to pay the price during the customer transaction shift. Option C. The deeply confused young kitchen assistant accident. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option A, pay the price. Option B is just word salad about retail transactions, and option C didn't even finish their sentence.
Yeah, cut off right in the middle.
As we saw with the cybersecurity example, paying the price is about experiencing the inevitable karma of poor decisions.
And that wraps up the quiz. How did you die? If you found yourself laughing at some of those distractors, that means you're internalizing the real meanings. Remember, mastering these nuances is what takes your English from just being technically correct to being truly advanced and expressive.
Exactly. And, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Language doesn't just describe our reality, it actively shapes it.
That's a great point.
Think about the difference between telling your boss, I apologize, versus I want to make amends. When you choose to say you want to make amends, you aren't just selecting a fancier vocabulary word. You are psychologically committing yourself to physical action. You are changing your own mindset from passive regret to active problem solving.
It changes who you are in that moment.
It truly does. So I challenge you to observe your own workplace this week. Listen closely to your colleagues. Notice how the specific idioms they choose to use reveal their true intentions, their hidden attitudes, and how they really view their responsibilities.
It's like suddenly being able to hear the hidden code in everyday conversations. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep mastering those nuances. Take care.